In this video, we're going to examine a couple ways to enhance our survival against a comp that generally always goes us, right? And that is Rogue Mage. Now, we're in a much better position than we have before surviving against RMX simply because of auto darkness, right? But nonetheless, Rogue Mage is still terrifying, right? And they can go through our defenses really quick. So, in order to live, we have to understand what they're doing, which they generally broadcast pretty easily. So this first situation right here, my entire team is crowd controlled, right? Usually the rogue is going to set up with a kidney or CC on your healer and then come and cheap shot you. As we can see here, I immediately fell eruption to try and save my cooldowns and be able to hold my blur through this CC and maybe even stop the poly that I expect to be coming onto our shaman. So where we're frozen right here, I wasn't able to get close enough to the mage to be in range of a kick, right? So now it's kind of the same thing over again, right? My healer's in a ring, my shadow priest is in a full poly. So the only cooldown that I have left at this point, because as you can see, the my auto darkness is still on cooldown, is blur, and I expect them to be immediately doing a decent setup on me from this. So this is a situation where we have to blur, right? Both team members are CC'd, and they're gonna try to do one more setup. As the next one, I'll have trinket available, and I'll have auto dark available. So right here we need to blur. So in this freeze frame, I got the blur off, right? And this is going to, as we'll see the next couple seconds, where it's going to be uh, real time. This blur is going to sail me through this setup, which is going to allow for my trinket to come off cooldown and my auto dart to come up, right? So as long as we can just use, I mean, we can actually use more than one cooldown every setup, but the least amount possible is a way that we can essentially live a very long time against more or less any comp, but specifically RMX in this one. So up next, we have another setup that's about to occur, right? Uh, my healer is coming out of a kidney into a Hodge, and the only cooldown that I have is trinket, right? But I also happen to have reverse magic, so in this case, I'm just going to immediately reverse to try and break up the chain, and this is going to allow me to, well, to live. Now this is a minor setup, and the only reason that I'm going to trinket this, because as we can see, my healer is not in crowd control, is that my auto darkness is just about to come up again, and I want to be sure that I just don't get randomly killed in a shadow dance, given that we don't have many saves left, right? The shaman doesn't have link or ascend. Um, the priest doesn't have swap or a feared appeal, so I know that if I trinket this and they're still going me, that I will have auto darkness for the next setup that they have, and I can just keep going through one defensive cooldown at a time in order to live against this comp. So we're on to the next setup, and this would, in all their circumstances, be a kill on their part, right? They have a full blind on my healer, who doesn't have his trinket back yet, and I'm in the kidney. Right? This is all bad, but because we made it through this game with, only using one defensive at a time, uh, we're actually we're actually able to live until we have auto darkness back, which is a situation right now. So this ordinarily would always be a kill for them, right? You blind a healer with no trinket, and and the priest has no swap. Um, this legendary is going to allow us just to kind of pull through this without using anything else. I mean, not that we have anything else at this point to use, but you get my point. Just a quick snapshot here. We can see that my healer is still in a blind. I'm still in the kidney, and the rogue's dancing on me, and the mage pops combust, right? So if there was any situation where I would have lived without auto dark before, that's just completely out of the window. But we can see that I can just not do anything, right? And I can just let the auto dark proc and use that to live through this setup. So I'm actually getting combust and dance and blind all for just the price of auto darkness, and that is incredibly huge value. So if you don't have the auto darkness legendary, I think and I hope that this will help motivate you to get it. Okay, so we can see that my healer's out of the blind now into a full poly. Mage still has combust up, and I have 1 second left in my dark, right, at 6k HP. So it's looking a little bit bleak, but I know that they've used most of their damage, and two, I have one more tool left, right, and that's the hunt. So in addition to everything else that it does, it also gives us the instant 12% health, which is almost as a low functioning battle master, as well as 12 stacks of the mastery buff from the tree that we chose, and that being the Naya tree to clarify. So in addition to that, we have the extra 25% leech, which should be enough to just take us through to till the next cooldown. Okay, so next point here, the rogue has a dance me, right? And I'm going in with pretty low health, but I have that huge amount of extra leech from the hunt. I have the extra mastery to pump out more damage with my chaos strikes, you know, and I also have regular darkness back should I need to use it. However, in this case, I have enough control, right? I have an incap, I have a chaos nova, and I think I'm okay in just holding that until the next setup, which is exactly what I do. Skipping to the next part, we get to where my healer goes into kidney, and I'm coming out of full sheet. So there's two options here, right? We've recovered a bit. We have my healer's trinket, and we have my darkness. Obviously, I can't use it right now because I'm polyed, but I am spamming that just in case they leave a break in CC, or they make a mistake and accidentally hit and break the poly before they get the cheap on me. Okay, so we get the darkness off before the cheap actually hits me, so we're in a really good position now, right? My healer's trinket is already back, and I managed to save it just by just by using cooldowns correctly, right? So this is our final setup here, right? The rogue has dance up, and we don't have any cooldowns other than my trinket, right? So I know that he has smoke bomb up by watching Omnipar, right? I also know that if I live through this, I'm probably okay because I have 20 seconds remaining on my auto darkness to come back. So right when this kidney comes, I'm gonna instantly trinket to try and mitigate their last setup, right? Because even if he held bomb at this point and did on the next go, I would have my auto dark for it, which would come in handy. Okay, so this is their final go here, right? We just killed the paladin, and by all rights, I should die here, right? It's dance plus combust, and my whole team's crowd controlled. But because I was able to save auto dark for this, I can actually kind of sail through it. So we secure the W and don't let it go down to 2v2. Thank you all for watching. I obviously wanted to make this video more than just against RMX, but there's so much to cover, and I definitely want to do this against every major comp that's queuing right now. So I do appreciate your guys' support. Follow the Twitch, subscribe to the Twitch. It should be linked several times on this page, and your contributions to my stream are kind of what make this possible. So let me know what you guys are after in terms of uh, next content, and I will definitely take it into consideration. Thank you again so much, and I know this video is a little bit longer, but I think it was enough to cover all the points that we needed to cover. Thank you again for watching, and hope you stop by soon.